One of the four teenagers who drifted across Victoria's Port Phillip Bay has described their harrowing ordeal after they went missing while paddleboarding. The group drifted for around 7 hours through busy shipping lanes before they were washed up on Swan Island.
We were just trying to get help because we knew that we couldn't get back. So we just started calling the passing boats, but no one notified us.
It's crazy. The group was found sheltering at an army training ground before being taken to hospital. Well, we're learning more about what happened to the four teenagers who spent 7 hours floating across Port Phillip Bay in Victoria. There were grave fears for the teens after their belongings were found at Rosebud. They were found on Swan Island, some 22 kilometres away from their original location. Isabella Stashkovsky joins us from Geelong Hospital. Isa, good morning again to you. An early Christmas miracle for these families.
It certainly is. There are four Victorian families breathing a huge sigh of relief this morning. This time yesterday, hope was really fading fast, but this has turned into an incredible story of survival. We now know that those four teenagers, they were celebrating the end of VCE with a day trip to Rosebud on Monday. 2 boys, 2 girls. They took out 2 paddleboards and went onto the bay in the evening, but there were some pretty strong winds that took them out to the middle of the bay. They then floated in the tide at least 22 kilometres, going from one end of the bay to the other, from Rosebud all the way to Swan Island near Queenscliff. They landed there at about 2 a.m. and sought shelter in a hut. Then when day broke, they did go around the island, wandering around, and were discovered by security, then taken here to Geelong Hospital. One of them so far has spoken out about the experience, describing his survival as a miracle.
There was a point that it was really hard because we could see the helicopters and the boats searching for us. The helicopters got really close to us, but they didn't find us, and it was just a long wait. We're just losing our hopes.
It would have been terrifying for those teens just floating around in the dark on the bay in the middle of the night. I have spoken to the hospital just in the past few moments. I can tell you that now 3 of the 4 have been discharged and they are now recovering back at home, which is great news. One of them is still here in hospital, but is expected to be discharged very soon.
Just an unbelievable story. Thanks so much for that, Isa.
Well, a Christmas miracle. It's one way to describe the story of how 4 teenagers were found alive after a harrowing ocean ordeal, floating across Victoria's Port Phillip Bay in the middle of the night on paddleboards until rescue crews found them more than 20 kilometres away. Lifesaving Victoria's Sean Cummins was involved in the search and he joins us now from Rosebud in Victoria. Sean, you were out there on the water. Can you describe what conditions were like when you were searching for those 4 teenagers?
Good morning, Christine. Yesterday morning it was quite windy as it is now. The conditions weren't great and it is quite crazy to think that they were out there overnight. Obviously we had Victoria Police working tirelessly through the night and then we worked as well on our jet skis, and it was, pretty incredible, story.
This is incredible. The Queenscliff to Sorrento ferry, which many people would have travelled, takes 45 minutes and it's about 11 kilometres. This was double that. Did you fear the worst?
I think at the time, when you hear about people being missing for that long and their families being so worried, you can fear for the worst. But at the same time, I think working with the people that we're working with Victoria Police and the other emergency services, you're not so concerned just because you know you're working with the best. When we did hear about that they'd been washed all the way across the bay behind me, it's even difficult to see where they ended up. So when you hear that, it is quite shocking, but at the end of the day, I think everyone who was working towards finding them and bringing them home, they did just such a fantastic job.
It's sheer luck that they weren't carried out through the heads, that they did actually make it to Swan Island. What was your reaction when the word came through that these 4 teenagers had been found alive and relatively uninjured?
I think when we heard it, it was just pure relief. Weight off the shoulders, quite amazing. And then that probably turned to a bit of shock and just how crazy and amazing story it is. And it also was just a pretty good reminder how careful you need to be around the beaches, because that morning, it seemed very safe, and it was quite a warm day, but the conditions can change so quickly, and you just need to make sure that you're swimming at an appropriate time and at a patrol beach.
I was about to say, Sean, I mean, unfortunately in Victoria the last year or two has been really tragic when it's come to drownings. As the weather finally heats up in Melbourne, in Victoria, what's your message to swimmers?
Well, I think it's always the same message that we always promote every Christmas. We want everyone going home safely to their families. So that's swimming at a patrol beach. If you're not sure where the patrol beaches are, you can always look it up. We have a beach safe app down here in Victoria. You've got certain patrol times. You want to be swimming on the beaches at those times. Never swimming alone. Always letting your family and friends know where you're going and when they expect you to be back. And also just swimming within your own limitations and always asking people who are more experienced, or they might be local to the area, what they would recommend if you are entering the waterways.
Well, Sean, thank you for the incredible work you do, but particularly yesterday in your search for those 4 teenagers miraculously found alive. Well, this morning we can bring you an incredible story of survival, nothing short of a Christmas miracle. There are grave fears for 4 teenagers missing Monday night on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula. Then yesterday, remarkably, they were found safe, but on the complete other side of the bay.
Isabella Stachkovsky was with the families in Rosebud as they learned their kids had survived.
Back on dry land, walking themselves to hospital.
It still feels like a dream to me. Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe we made it.
A Christmas miracle for 4 Victorian families.
I mean, if you look back, it's a miracle.
How are you feeling right now?
Very, very happy. We're very relieved. It felt like huge relief.
Hours earlier, a very different story.
Easterly pushing towards the heads, the kids would have been blown quite easily towards Sorrento and Portsea.
It was meant to be a celebration of the end of VCE here in picturesque Rosebud on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula, some 1.5 hours from the Melbourne CBD. But that celebration quickly turned to desperation. A 19-year-old and 3 18-year-olds, 2 boys, 2 girls, 2 stand-up paddleboards missing for more than 12 hours. Their parents desperate and helpless as police searched from the air and the water.
I think you can see the smile on my face. Yeah, absolutely sensational that they've been found.
Well, I'm just so impressed by the resources they get. Right? They have many helicopters and also the harrowing, also the jet ski boat.
As hope was fading, the almost unbelievable news came through. All 4 found safe and well.
And a little tear came to my eye. I thought, thank God they're safe at this time of year.
Just that they're safe, and I can't kind of believe they would. I guess that's kids for you.
It is remarkable just how far they were swept from Rosebud Beach, at least 22 kilometres across Port Phillip Bay to Swan Island, a military exercise base near Queenscliff. Usually a journey like that is completed by a large ferry like this one here behind me. After leaving the Rosebud foreshore in the evening, they were caught in strong winds. A passerby calling authorities around 8 p.m. The teens held onto those 2 boards as they drifted to the middle of the bay, then floated with the tide for more than 20 kilometres, reaching the island around 2 a.m. They found shelter in a hut, and once it was light, were found by security.
Oh, it's the best news.
I think a lovely Australia story. I really appreciate we are immigrants to the country.
By mid-morning, they were all stable, no serious injuries. Their story of survival now thankfully just a warning to others.
All too often, members of Victoria Police in these circumstances see tragedy. Sensational outcome, but just to remind everybody, please, just about the dangers that our waterways pose, particularly over the summer period.
Yeah, to the family here, I think it's a miracle for us.
And Ezra is live for us this morning in Geelong with the father of one of the paddleboarders. Ezra, what a story.
Charles, good morning. Yeah, it is an incredible story, isn't it? It's that Christmas miracle that we were all hoping for. I'm joined now by Jack. His son, Rong, was one of those 4 teenagers involved in all of this. Jack, when you saw Rong, you must have just given him a big hug, right?
Yeah,
how are you feeling?
Yeah, just feel very, very happy and such a relief after 15 hours, more than 15 hours waiting. It's a very difficult time, so very excited to see him well and safe. Yeah.
It must have been pretty scary at one point. You know, we were at the beach there with you yesterday and there were fears, you know, we were all pretty worried about the kids, weren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know what happened. Even with the clothes near the shore, it was very cold, right? They just have swimming pool, so we swimming well, and just drifting in the water for more than 9 hours. Right? It's very cold. We are very proud of the kids. They are very brave, right? They're honest together, so they don't complain. They just sitting together and encourage each other, right, to make it to the beach. I think it's 2 a.m. or something. Yeah, after 9 hours, it's been very difficult, tough time for them. But we are very proud that they can make it.
It's an incredible spirit, isn't it? And
Yeah.
when you saw Rong, he said something a bit cheeky to you. What did he say when you saw him?
He said, Dad, isn't it cool? yeah.
So he's doing pretty well this morning, isn't he?
Yeah. I have not seen him yet. I just want to see him after this because doctor advised them to have a good rest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're hoping that he'll be able to go home today, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Finger crossed. Hopefully they can be discharged today. Yeah.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks so much for sharing your story with us and for everyone at home as well. It's such a nice story to bring everyone that these 4 kids are okay. And as we said earlier, 3 of them are already resting at home, and we're hoping that Rong will be back with his family at home some point later today. Charles.
Thank you. It's a great story.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone breathed a sigh of relief when we heard that and actually couldn't believe where they eventually were found.
G'day Today Show viewers. Thanks for watching YouTube. Our YouTube channel's fantastic. Subscribe now for brand new videos every day and exclusive bonus clips. Come on, you know you want to.